Dragon Riders, Kaze no Kaeru, by Night Dragon Zero. Chris's perspective. The glowing light surrounded Jade and Firestorm. I shielded my eyes for a moment, but I made out a human shape falling to the ground. I ran over and pulled him back towards the rest of the group who gathered behind us. It was Jade, back as a human once more. He was dressed in a completely white shirt and pants. He stirred as I moved him. Jade? I asked. Yeah, I think so. He lifted his hands and looked at them. I'm human! How about Storm? Luminar asked. Don't worry. Jade pointed towards the glowing light, which quickly disappeared, leaving a Charizard-like form hovering in its place. He's back to his old self, too. Storm? Night Slice gasped. The Charizard's form had become clad in a silvery set of armor. His face was completely covered by a helmet, with just enough space to open his jaws. 2 holes served as his means of vision. Going down was the main body plate that covered his entire chest, decorated by a dragon engraved on its center. Lower body armor went all the way down to the bottom of his feet. His wings and arms were left unaltered, save the glowing light around him. Literally, a dragon in shining armor. My light shines upon your darkness. To the burning hells, vile creature! Firestorm raised a hand, and a sort of brilliant light formed in it. With the weapon held high, he lowered his wings and charged. Never, Kaze declared. My darkness will conquer all! Night Slice rammed the evil dragon from the side, intending to distract him. Unfortunately, the attack was miscalculated, and unintentionally knocked Kaze out of Firestorm's sword path, but not his tails, and Storm gave him a hard smack. Kaze roared as he hit the ground. The Dark Dragon pulled himself up and threw off several fireballs, striking Firestorm and Night Slice. The pair hit the ground. However, Kaze never got the chance to attack. Luminar and Urges shocked him with their lightning attacks. Kaze stumbled back to take Riot's Hyper Beam into his face. Hazuki and Nala were standing behind the Aerodactyl, clenching their fists. Dracia's Dragon Breath move came out of pure fury, but it still got its job done. Syndrea was leaning unsteadily against the wall, but she still managed to contribute a Psychic, stunning the dragon further. Once again, Firestorm took to the sky, only this time, he raised his sword of light to the sky like a paladin. Golden energy charged up around the shining blade. Roaring, Kaze fired a series of energy bursts. Firestorm did his best to dodge the assault as he folded his wings and descended towards his target. You will never defeat! Night Slice had leapt up and ran his blade through Kaze from behind. At that moment, Firestorm had reached him and drove his shining sword home as well. Multicolored lights flashed as the energies clashed. All 3 roared in pain, and energy crackled all over their bodies. A small explosion threw Storm to the ground, his new armor fading away. However, Night Slice remained up there. I pulled myself to my feet and got off running. There were multiple yells from everyone telling me not to go, but this was something I had to do. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted Syndrea raising her hands. Letting off a furious scream, I threw myself in the midst of the swirling energies, caught Night Slice, and brought him back down. Night Slice, back to his normal Scizor body. We hit the ground hard, but I managed to look up into the flashing lights. Kaze's body was breaking up, being engulfed by the golden spectrum. However, for a brief moment, I saw an image of the Night Blazer standing firmly. The next instant, my world disappeared in a flash of light. Hazuki's perspective. I moaned, opening my eyes. You alright? Nala was standing over me. Yeah, but the others? Don't worry. Nala pulled me up. We were standing in a wide-open grassy field, quite different from the base we'd last been at. Looking around, I saw the others. Riot and Dracia were nearby, Luminar and Urges beside them. Firestorm, Chris, and Jade, who was human again. Kyle, I sighed sadly, remembering what he'd done during those final chaotic moments. Serac, Syndrea, they're gone too. Nala patted my shoulder. I think Syndrea was the one who teleported us out of there before the explosion, Nala said, but I don't know what happened to her after that. This doesn't look good, Firestorm muttered. The Charizard was kneeling, with his eyes closed and a claw on Night Slice's forehead. Everyone ran over and formed a circle around Night Slice, lying on his back and breathing heavily. What's happened to him? Jade asked. With the removal of the Night Blazer, that part of Kaze's spirit from him, his forbidden powers are gone, and his life force is fading rapidly, Firestorm explained. He was probably reading it from Night Slice's mind. He doesn't have much time left. No! I cried, causing everyone to look towards me. We've lost too many friends already! There has to be something we can do! But what? Jade asked. Night Slice's life force was tied to that part of Kaiser's spirit, Firestorm said. So if we could bind it to something else, he could be saved, right? Luminar asked. I volunteer, Chris spoke. But can you do it? If I use all of the energies of my sacred powers... Yes, Firestorm replied. I'll lose the use of them, but I'm willing to sacrifice it for his sake. However, it's you I'm more worried about, Chris. This bond will bind you two in life and in death. It will be impossible to break. How did you learn all this stuff? Jade wondered. Zion's telling me, the Charizard replied. His eyes had been closed the whole time. When it comes to planeswalking, he knows how to find me. Let's do this then, Chris declared. You're absolutely sure? Storm asked one final time. Yes, she replied immediately. In a flash of golden light, it was over. Chris's perspective. The sun was setting as we finally approached Blackthorn City. We'd met up with Riptide along the way, but no one was really in much of a talking mood. We'd all lost someone, and some were taking it harder than others. I lay back against the grassy hill and glanced over my Scyther body. Guess this is me for good now. With bits and pieces of information from the others, I gathered that Night Slice needed his forbidden powers to restore my human self, and now that he'd lost them, I was... Chris. I started jumping up. It was Night Slice, in human form, with a backpack slung over his shoulder. Chris, I really want to thank you for saving me. You would have done the same for me. I put on as best a smile as I could. I made such a mess of things. We lost so many friends. I couldn't bear to lose you too. It wasn't your fault, Chris. Night Slice sat down beside me. It wasn't anybody's fault for what happened. Everybody believed and fought for what their hearts told them. That's what counts. Yeah, I guess. By the way, I have a little something for you. He reached out and touched my head. An odd feeling ran through my body. My head spun, and I passed out for a few moments. When I came to, I felt very different. I felt my... hands? I sprang up and looked over myself. I was back to my human self! I found myself dressed in black jeans and a blue t-shirt. Over it was a black jacket, and on my hands a pair of fingerless gloves. Night Slice stood over to the side, grinning at my delight. How? I staggered. I thought you'd lost your powers. I lost my forbidden powers, but I realized I had one more residing in me, the power Euphoria used to turn me into a human. I just passed that power into you through our soul bond. Then you're... Oh, this? Night Slice tapped his chest. It'll last till morning at least. After that, I'm back to a Scizor. Anyway, while we have this time, how about a night out? He pointed down to the town below. Sounds great, I replied. And before I forget, here, I think you'll like this. He handed me his sword in a sheath. Koga gave this to me, but since I won't need it anymore, I think it can replace that one I broke all that time ago. Tears came to my eyes as I took it. I ran forward and hugged him. Of course, Night Slice returned it. Several weeks later, Hazuki's perspective. I lay back against the sand and felt the waves running over my legs. Kyle. I'd wanted to show him how beautiful the open sea could be. He'd spent so long cooped up in enclosed places, and he didn't deserve it. I hadn't admitted it then, but I really, really cared for him. Now it was too late. I'd never get that chance again. Life just seemed so short. I heard a high-pitched cry and turned towards the sea. A school of Lapras was swimming in the distance. I wanted to imagine my friend out there, but I knew it would only be deluding myself. I still had our memories, no matter how short they were. We'd spent quite some time settling down and searching around any places of importance we'd come across during our travels. Alagard's hidden base at Mount Silver had been completely abandoned, leaving it but an empty shadow of its former self. Syndrea, too, was nowhere to be found, and if she'd survived or not was yet another question. I closed my eyes and tried to relax a little. I was supposed to be getting my mind off these things. There was a sudden splash practically next to me, causing me to jump up. I glanced around and spotted a shadow darting off into the water. Hey, wait! I splashed into the sea till I was waist deep and realized the mysterious shadow was nowhere to be seen. Either it had simply been a fragment of my imagination, or it had disappeared into the water without a trace. Shaking my head, I passed it off as the former. Firestorm's perspective. Well, I guess I made a pretty crappy Charizard, Jade was saying. Hey, don't say that. You did beat me, remember? The female replied. Sort of, I suppose, Jade muttered, scratching his blonde hair. We were back in the Charisific Valley, and Jade was talking to the female Charizard who had been pretty close to him during his time there as one of them. Jade had actually gone back to his old outfit, green jeans, black shirt, and a green vest over that. The spirit of the fire dragon had been within him since the volcano incident. Neither of us was able to contact the dragon currently, so he'd either disappeared or was lying dormant again. For how long, no one could tell. Thinking about it, things hadn't really worked out for Dracia and me. She distanced herself from the rest of our group since the great battle. I shot a glance over to Lisa, standing over by the side with Charla. I rubbed the left side of my face, the part I'd once needed to cover up because of old injuries from my rocket days. Being human had apparently removed the scars altogether. I'm sure you'll be able to find another nice guy to spend your time with, but for me... Jade formed a flame in his hand and tossed it aside. Some part of his Charizard side had remained, pretty much making him a chimera. I have a whole new aspect of myself to discover, he smiled. Kinda cool seeing what I can do if I don't hold back. Excuse me, I cut in, taking the female Charizard's paw. Now that you're done with him, I'm single, available and free this Saturday night. How about a date? Slap. Ow, I moaned. Needless to say, she's not too happy about that, Lisa commented. Heh, you could always try asking Charla, Jade laughed. Hey, cool, how about it, Charla? Dinner tonight? Slap.